One thing I've learned about this job with the RDIEC is that there's a lot more to rural Saskatchewan than just farming. Of course, there's lots of mixed farms, grain farms, cattle farms all throughout Saskatchewan. But even in the rural areas, the farm communities, you'll find other industries going on. I've discovered that some people turn their farms into event centers. Other people use their farms to practice with the rock band. And yet others make online businesses like the clothing companies that you see. But today I'm going to go to something quite unique, and there's not many of these in Saskatchewan, I believe. I'm going to the Crick of the Valley Tannery to see Gord Snaith, who tans leathers. And of course, he's out on a farm, his family farm, out northwest of Rosetown. And like any other farm community, you've got to kind of find your way there. So I'm going to go on a bit of a road trip today and see if I can find Gord and his farm and his tanning business. So enjoy the road trip. So I got to head north of Rosetown on Highway number 4, and we're going to head towards Herschel, Saskatchewan. But we're not going to go to Herschel itself. We're going to go to Gord's farm, which is actually north of Herschel. I got to turn down Highway 31 and head west towards Herschel now. And down that road somewhere, we'll find Crick of the Valley Tannery. Another 25 kilometers to Herschel, go north for about 10 kilometers, and I'll be there. Hello, I'm here today with Gord Snaith of Crick of the Valley Tannery. And Gord, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
I tan fur pelts, and I tan deer capes and whatnot for mountable tans for taxidermists. Bear rugs, deer, elk, bison, different things like that.
Okay. So, Gord, can you tell me what you're working on today or this week?
We're working on a few different things. There's some things in hydration, some things that are ready to shave that are in pickle. Like I have a couple of otters here. They're completely fleshed and have been taken to the point of they've been put into an acid bath pickle, and they're ready to shave on a fleshing wheel to thin the hide to one uniform level.
Okay, and is that for a taxidermy?
This is for a taxidermist for a life mount of a otter,
Okay.
A river otter.
So after that process, where do we go from there?
From there we will end up, from right here we'll go right over to the wheel with it. This is called a fleshing wheel. This is a Dakota Pro brand. I have a couple different wheels. And it is a spinning razor blade that shaves the actual skin. When you pickle it in acid, it puffs it up like a marshmallow, and then we can come along on the wheel after a few days of being in a pickle, and we can shave it across the wheel. I don't know if that shows on the camera the difference of what is happening, but we're removing the skin very thinly by each stroke. And the blade is a little dull right now. So we'll sharpen it with our tuning steels, which are tungsten rods. And now that shaves a lot nicer.
So how long would it take to do, let's say, that one right there to get all that skin off?
It will probably take me 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It used to take a lot longer, but I've done several now. It's been a few years, so.
Get better at it as you go.
Get better at it. It's all practice. It's I don't believe there's a school in Canada that you can actually go to, so you have to be willing to do a lot of research yourself and be able to self-teach yourself.
So yeah, that was my next question. So you kind of self-taught, or did you have somebody in your life that kind of knew how to do this?
I started out on my own, and then I hired private lessons from an established tanner at one time.
Okay.
So I could get to a point where I could do custom work for people.
Okay. So really quite curious. So you're pickling back there, the other station, you skin. How long would this process take from the time you get the pelt in the door till you're ready to send it off?
If you can start working on a hide the day that it is dispatched, from start to finish, you can get it done in about 14 days.
Holy smokes, okay. And you can work on, like you had a few...
Multiple things.
Few pickling there at a
Yes. Those are all for one customer, and they're the similar hide, so I can put them all in together. The only time I don't mix animals is if they're different species. A wolf has its own odor. You would not want to put a deer in with that, because that odor, even though you get the odors out of things, you still don't want to put that oil in with that.
Okay.
It's just a personal preference.
Yeah. So otter's a fairly small pelt compared to what are some of the bigger ones you work
The
on?
biggest stuff that I've done would be bison robes and Holstein robes, like a rug.
So you put them on that same wheel to take the skin off, or they have different?
I use a different wheel, but it's exactly the same type of setup. It's just I can set my guard differently.
Okay.
This here is the guard, which allows you the depth of your blade sticking out. Okay. So my other wheel, I cut deeper with it, so I can.
I'm just trying to think, like, are they harder to handle, like the bigger robe? Or
they're very hard in the sense that they're heavy.
Yeah.
And so you're hauling that thing around, whereas this is light, you can lift it up. Bison robe is 150 to 200 pounds when it's on the table. So you get sore shoulders, you get big. I was never this big. I don't know if you remember or not, but I was always a slight fellow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you see, I could see your upper body strength and core strength would be tested all the time doing this.
Yes, it gets your upper body strong.
Yeah,
it does.
So do you charge out by the pelt kind of thing?
Depending on what animals they are, depending what market it's for.
Yeah.
Large hides, robes, and rugs, they are done by square footage.
Okay.
Bears, for a bear rug, is done by linear footage. And then if it's for a garment tan, a wall hanger, or for a mountable tan for a taxidermist, there's different prices because you take it to different levels of preciseness.
Yeah, okay.
You have to shave lips, eyelids, the insides of ears for a taxidermist, whereas for a garment, there's no face intended at all.
Yeah, a little different that way, what's required.
Yeah.
So you're set up at home and you're on the farm, in the home shop, so equipment requirements, you had to buy, what are some, there's some things you need to have.
You have to have a fleshing wheel of some sort.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this as a career, you need to have at least a 12-inch, 12-inch fleshing wheel. Yeah. You're better off having a couple. I'm still adding to my equipment. Yeah. I need a staker that I'm going to be building this winter, and it's just a machine that beats the leather side of the hide to soften it.
Okay.
Behind us, we have these breaker drums, is what they are, and you have to have them, or you're just home tanning. You're not going to get a soft commercial pelt without that.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at those more in a minute. Where do you find equipment? Like, there's certain suppliers?
Most of the equipment actually comes out of the States. Dakota all comes out of North Carolina. My other fleshing wheel I have is an Advanced, I believe it's called, and they're actually built originally out of Regina.
Oh.
It was a Saskatchewan taxidermist, and they're They're one of the better wheels that are on the market.
Okay, good.
And you can get those right here in Saskatchewan. There's a few different dealers.
Okay, good. So next step. So skin, they're pickled. The skin has been taken off. Then where do we go from there?
From there, it would go back into the pickle with a degreasing chemical, and it would sit for another day in there. And that just allows anything that wasn't maybe quite to an acid core in the center of it to get there, and then the grease is pulled at that time as well. The tan works off of acids. Like, it's all done by pHs. You have to have an acid core for it, for the tan to penetrate to it, or it will just surface tan.
Yeah.
So it's all, everything is to do with pHs when it comes to it.
Degreased then for another day, then
it gets put into tan, mix up a tanning chemical, and it goes into a bath, and it stays in there for 12 to 18 hours.
okay.
And then we neutralize that with baking soda, sodium carbonate, and we bring it to a pH of around 4, and it has to sit there for about a half an hour to an hour.
You're talking chemistry terms to me.
It's kind of how it all works, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a little bit to, and you have tools to measure some of that stuff?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I just use pH strips.
Okay.
Is the quickest way. I used to have a digital meter, but it just takes so long to register. I prefer using the pH strips, and they're very sensitive. So
Yeah, good. So that, and then is there another process after that?
everything gets washed after that with a washing machine, just a regular washing machine, all fur.
Okay.
Anything that is hair, it gets hand washed. And then it gets oiled with a tanning oil.
Okay.
And that's why the pH has to sit at that.
Oh, okay.
4 is for that oil to actually penetrate into the hide.
Yeah.
It's a reactive oil, so it has to be able to get into there. You can't rub it into it. It's not going to penetrate in that way.
Okay.
It has to be pulled in.
Yeah. Okay, good. Can we take a look at some of the other, those wheels and some of those other things? Did we move the camera to another spot? Okay,
Absolutely.
let's do that. Okay, thanks.
Might have to give it a boost. Would you like the other one running as well?
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's the same principle, I take it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use that one for wet tans, and this is for dry tans.
So what's in there now?
I'll bring out a bag of it. I don't think I have any fur in there right now.
Oh, I see. I see.
This is the aggregate that's in it, though.
Okay.
And that's a corn cob grit. It's ground up corn cobs to a certain specification of size.
Yeah. Okay. So these, what do you call it, spinning wheels?
Breaker drums.
Breaker drums? So handmade, did you buy them or?
They're basically hand built. You can buy huge industrial ones, of course, for the huge tanneries. The smaller one I constructed myself, and the larger one I purchased from another tannery.
Okay. What hides have we got in front?
These are 2 bison robes that are in a salt stage. So they came in with the meat still on the skin. We take that all off, and it's called fleshing, and then you apply salt to it, and it stays on for a 24-hour period and then is removed and then resalted, and all of the plasmas and the oils and whatnot get pulled out of the skin then and drain away.
So your customers, like they from all over?
All over the place, yeah. I've had people from Thompson, Manitoba drive down with hides. It's a long ways. Most of it is for taxidermists, and they're mostly on the northeastern corner of the province that I deal with. But anywhere, we have local guys, and all over the province. Big River, Meadow Lake.
Good. What stage is this at, Gord, and what are we looking at here?
This is a bear rug for a taxidermist, and it is in the drying stage. It is completely tanned and oiled, and it is tacked out onto a board. It's what we call blocked, where we cut the armpits and square them right off, so it is a nice uniformed shape. And in another day or two, it will come off of here and it will go into that breaking drum, and that will soften the leather.
Yeah. Okay.
And it will be just like a leather jacket.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Ready to be used. Yeah. Ready to. Good. Really interesting stuff. So Gord, can you tell me what we got? What you got there?
We have some wolves from northern Saskatchewan for an outfitter. They are mountable tans, so they can be turned into rugs or a life mount, or just left as a wall hanger. The market on those are American hunters that come up during deer season. So
yeah.
there's these are very large wolves.
Yeah.
Most wolves are not this big.
Is that right?
These are big wolves.
Big wolves. Yeah.
Yes.
Huh. So Gord, how long have you been in this business here?
I've been full-time for 3 years, just shy of 3 years of full-time, and I've been dabbling in it for, I think, 9 years.
So what did you do before that time?
I was an equipment operator for the Municipal Employees Pension Plan. I did that for 24 years, running graders and building roads.
So you left a job kind of quite different than this and came
Quite
to this.
different.
So how can you explain that, how that happened or how that came about?
I guess it started, I've always been a hunter and a trapper especially. I've always been just enamored with trapping. And I wanted a different way to market my hides. And I wanted some mittens. And so I decided I'm going to learn how to do this. And I wrecked a lot of my own work for the first couple of years.
Yeah, I can see.
And everything I did, and you'd see the progression. And boy, when you first make that piece of leather that is like leather, it's almost an addiction. I just had to do it.
Yeah. So would we call this is your calling, or this is your passion, you think?
I'm very passionate about it. I'm very fortunate that there is the type of market in Saskatchewan where a person can do this for a living. And you're never too old to follow your dream, really, even if you don't know what that dream is at the time.
Yeah, well, that's good advice too. So no regrets then?
No regrets.
About-
Can't imagine going back to a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Hope it never happens. Business is good, and I want it to stay that way.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was very interesting. I'd like to thank Gord of Crick of the Valley Tannery for an excellent interview. Learned a lot about tanning that I never knew before. Well, I didn't know anything before, so I guess I was about to learn something. But again, another great example of someone who's turned a passion into an occupation that they love to do every day. And good for Gord for sharing that information with us all.